It is another day of my Harry Potter book journey. So today I read the chapter 8 of the book Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And the name of the chapter is The Potions Master. So in this chapter we will understand about how many subjects were taught to them at Hogwarts and what was the behavior of teachers to them and what Hagrid Keeper said to Harry Potter and how it is connected to Voldemort or anything. By the way, it is question mark only. It has only question mark. It is not solved yet. So now the chapter is start. So there were 142 cases at Hogwarts. Wide sweeping ones, narrow, risky ones, some that led somewhere different on a Friday. Yeah. So those were magical staircases that were around 142 that can change their sides. It can connect to one to another. It can connect all the way. So it was the magical thing that those staircases had. So now it is about the chapter. So they had to study the night sky through their telescope every Wednesday at midnight and learn the names of different stars and the movement of planets 3 times a week. 3 times a week, they went out to the greenhouses behind the castle to study herbology. So, it is one of the subjects that they were taught with a dumpy little witch called Professor Sprout, and the teacher was Professor Sprout, where they learned how to take care of all these strange plants and fungi and found out what they were used for. Plants and fungi and how they were used for. Easily the most boring lesson was History of Magic, which was the only class taught by a ghost. Professor Binns had been very old indeed when he had fallen asleep in front of the staff. So room fire and got up the next morning to teach. So history was one of the most boring subject of what they were taught. Professor Flitwick, the charms teacher, was a tiny little wizard who had to stand on a pile of books to see over his desk. At the start of the first lesson, he took the register, and when he reached Harry's name, he gave an excited squeak and toppled out of sight. So he was so little, so he had so short height, so he was one of the teachers. And then Professor MC Gonagall was again different. Harry had been quite right to think she was not a teacher to cross. Strict, clever, she gave them a talking to the moment they had sat down in her class. She was strict, but she was fair. Fair means she seems everyone equal. So she was the teacher of transfiguration. Transfiguration means where you change an object to something else. Like in this lesson, she changed her desk into a pig and back again. They were all very impressed and could not wait to get started, but soon realized they were not going to be changing the furniture into animal for a long time. So it was hard to do that thing. After making a lot complicated notes, they were each given a match and started trying to turn it into a needle. So they tried to change it into a needle. By the end of the lesson, only Hermione Granger had made any difference to her match. So Hermione, she was a bright student. She did something good in that lesson. So Professor MC Gonagall showed the class how it had all silver and pointy and gave Hermione a rare smile. So it was that teacher said. The next lesson was defense against the dark arts, but Quirrell's lesson turned out to be a bit of a joke. So his classroom smelled strongly of garlic, which everyone said was to ward off a vampire he would met in Romania and was afraid would be coming back to get him one of these days. So this was the line. His turban, he told them, had been given to him by an African prince as a thank you for getting rid of a troublesome zombie, but they were not sure they believed this story. For one thing, when Seamus Figan asked eagerly to hear how Quirrell and had fought off the zombie, Quirrell went pink and started talking about the weather for another day. Had noticed that a funny smell hung around the turban, and the Weasley twins insisted that it was stuffed full of garlic as well, so that Quirrell was protected wherever he went. So they countered a question. Someone countered a question to Quirrell, and he protected himself by doing something. Harry was very relieved to find that he was not miles behind everyone else. Harry was a new student, he was a muggle too, and he was thinking that he was not behind them, he is somewhere close to them. He was doing good at. There was so much to learn that even people like Ron did not have much of a head start. So Friday was an important day for Harry and Ron. They finally managed to find their way down to the Great Hall for breakfast without getting lost. So because that castle was so big, so many times Harry and Ron lost there. One time, once upon a time, they lost in the third floor. So this was the old story. So MC Gonagall favored us, said Harry. Professor MC Gonagall was head of Gryffindor House, but it had not stopped her giving them a huge pile of homework the day before. So MC Gonagall was the head of Gryffindors, the house where Harry Potter was. But she was even then she used to give them so much of homework. After that, Gatekeeper gave a message through his owl. Dear Harry, I know you get Friday afternoons off, so would you like to come and have a cup of tea with me around 3? I want to hear all about your first week. Send us an answer back, Hagrid. So Hagrid invited them to have for a cup of tea. Then Harry borrowed Ron quill, scribbled, and Harry said yes, okay. And he also wanted to ask something to Hagrid Keeper about, or tell Hagrid Keeper about Professor Snap, the potions professor. So potion professor was like, he was jealous. He was so jealous to Harry Potter. He asked so difficult question to Harry Potter. Even he was new. And there was a girl, Hermione. She knew the answer. She raised her hand up. But he did not ask question to her. She questioned Harry again and again. But somehow he knew that Harry did not know the answer, but still he was asking because Professor Snap supports Slytherin. But Harry was from Gryffindor. And when he asked question again, Hermione raised her hand as long as she could, but still she was not told to give answer. This was the behavior of Professor Snape for Harry Potter. Then Harry asked a question. Harry tried to counter him or argue with that professor, but Ron stopped him. This was the thing that Hagrid had to understand, but he did not. When they reached to Hagrid Keeper, they told everything about Professor Snape, but Hagrid said it was okay, he is your teacher. He just ignored him, and he gave some raw cake and tea. Raw cake was so hard, but they managed to eat it because they did not want to hurt Hagrid, so they ate it. So it was all the story. So now the question is, had Hagrid collected the package just in time? Where was it now? And did Hagrid know something about Snap that he did not want to tell Harry? So it was the question that this question asked. So it will, or you can say a mystery that this question has. So we will learn the next chapter tomorrow. So bye guys.